Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Kamal Cockings, and we're out of Discovery. We discovered the Discovery, and we're on the other side of it now. Huh.
I guess. So today we're basically just going to be talking about our first kind of reactions as to what we think might happen in season 2.
Oh, so we're not finished. Never be finished.
Right. But, so yeah, I was pretty excited to see the ending of this one. It was kind of better than I anticipated as far as the reveal goes. So yeah, I don't know if they've kind of painted themselves into another corner with the beginning of next season. Apparently, from what I hear, though, they had plans. Once Fuller left, they kind of started with this reveal at the very end of the season and worked their way back storytelling-wise. So it was all done in reverse, which explains the kind of the rushed and hurried plot lines and things, I think.
Yeah, I read the same thing, especially about the Klingons. Like, they knew the conclusion would be the conclusion, and then how do they get to the conclusion?
Yeah.
And then move the universe 5 episodes later, which then messed up the pace a bit. Yeah, so basically, to summarise, what happened is the Klingons are now not at war with us, but also not friends, not at peace, and we don't know what the hell's going to do against us. So that's kind of still, it's Cold War-y. We don't know, actually. We're just not actively warring. But the Discovery crew, I mean, they're going to go get the new captain at Vulcan. Everything's okay, bright lights, lovely things, fleet's rebuilding, whatever. We don't really know the state of anything except the ship's doing another mission. Don't know what the other mission is. Or at least just get the captain to be given a new mission. Maybe the captain has some say in what the mission is. And then obviously the Enterprise appears and we see that. So it kind of is a reset, do you think?
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not sure if they're going to go ahead and recast Pike and Spock, because that seems like a pretty ballsy move. And I think that might annoy a lot of people. I have the distinct feeling that it's going to kind of start with, because there was an incoming priority stress call, right?
With a ship
So I
that's
have
relatively unharmed. So what the hell is that about?
Yeah, so I have a feeling, I got a few theories as to what might happen, to be honest. First of all is the one that, knowing their storytelling techniques, I think they might actually use. And that's where they get you might even see Pike on screen, whatever. You might see a Vulcan, back of Vulcan's head.
Hologram.
Science
it won't be
station.
on screen, it'll be holograms, won't it? Probably.
Well, it won't be, because the Enterprise doesn't have holo projectors to do that kind of recording, so no. It'll be on the screen.
Sure.
But, so they might recast Pike, and it might say, we just ran into a problem back there. We're just on our way to Earth to kind of get fixed up because we got some damage. Can you guys take care of that? And then the Enterprise is gone. So, yay, we got our nod. Thank you very much, Discovery guys. Now they're like, here's the Constitution class. Here's the Enterprise. It's there. It exists. We can ignore that now.
Well,
That's my first thought.
It gets the buzz at the end of season 1. I mean, okay, I don't think all press is good press if it's bad press, but to end on that note, got people talking, and that's press, isn't it? So just throwing in that red herring of, it's not going to be in the next season very much, it could just be for the good press at the end. So, yeah.
Not that that's what I want to have happen, but I have a feeling that could be a possibility. I personally want the Enterprise to stick around and join them for 4 or 5 episodes to kind of have a collaboration adventure. She gets to talk to Spock, and Sarek, Spock, and Burnham in the same room talking would be fantastic.
Well, and this is an era we haven't explored. If you take the more prime approach, we haven't explored this. What is Cage era like with the Federation, really? What's Pike like really as a person? Because you kind of get a sense, but they certainly don't give him the depth. And, maybe they'll even explain why Spock laughs.
Maybe they will.
He's got a disease for the couple of years, and that's making him really un-Spock-like, which would be kind of funny.
I think he's probably just trying to blend in with the crew, therefore he's kind of taking on more human mannerisms so that he doesn't seem like such an outcast. That's my personal thought on that one.
Sure. Yeah, I refer this back to when Superman appeared in Supergirl. Because everyone knows Superman. There's a certain level of utmost respect, and he is the most overpowered superhero. So I mean, bringing him in, and there's his younger cousin. I think they did a very good balance of how do they balance that. He's stronger, but she's fast. There's however it was. There was things there that made it work, and he had his own job to do, and so he doesn't need to be there every week. Once you've shown the Superman of it, then you've put things in motion, you set the universe. So I think it's a good move to show the Enterprise now that we've seen it, and I hope that it'll be like a 3-episode arc, which is a bit but not a lot. First episode is lead up, second is the thing you can really savor, being on the ship, talking to Spock, embracing that. Third episode is the rush conclusion with the Enterprise maybe not in it very much. Maybe it gets damaged so much it needs to go for the refit. That'd be kind of fun, and then you don't see it for the next year. Maybe it comes back in season 3, refitted. Now it's a bit more of an in between of the in between. Because we have some time before TOS. But then depends how much budget they want to spend, because you could do a storyline, as you were mentioning, where you almost have both ships for the entire season, but then devalue your own ship, your own crew, because you can't really match up to Pike, Kirk, and Pike, Spock, and whoever the Doctor was. I mean, it's not exactly the strongest crew, no offense. So maybe they could measure up. I don't know.
Don't forget number 1. Don't forget the female number 1,
which I hope we see. Absolutely. So it'd be cool to see like a half season of them doing things together. But that looks like a devalue Discovery. So they've got to make sure it seems like it's the best still, even though that's why in DS9 they blew up the Challenger to show. Well, it was the best in that show. In this show, not so much. It was a power play. That's why if it's crippled, if it's damaged, it seems less impressive. But I think realistically it's a 3-episode arc. Realistically, hopefully, but it might just be first half of the first episode, and then beam Spock over, and then maybe he's got a secret mission, and he's the envoy, or Pike, or even number 1. I mean, any of those 3 characters would be more than enough to carry, say, a 5-episode arc. Obviously recast. I wish Zachary Quinto this was done earlier, because he was a great Spock. And if they gave him prime Spock to play, I think he'd be even better, because they gave him the extra emotional version. I think he could subtlety that down a lot and get a more nuanced performance if he was directed that way. But obviously now he's way too old, given that we've always seen young him, and young him was 10 years ago, so it doesn't really work anymore. Almost 10. So things they can't win, can they? If they show the Enterprise more inside and out, people are going to bitch. If they don't show it, then it's a cop out. You know what I mean? It's a tricky, like you said, in a corner, but they could flourish from that corner.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they could either really hit it out of the park with this, or really fumble it. And I'm not sure. They got to treat it right, especially now that they've introduced it, and it has created a lot of buzz. So.
I think either way we're getting official TOS retcon. Unfortunately, I think that's the way they're going.
Well, again, people have been saying that after the 10 years fills in between this and TOS, they're going to be back to the standard TOS look to lead right into it. So we're supposed to be patient. I don't know.
Yeah, but they've said the 60s look can't work, so I doubt.
They have.
Well, they won't get to 10 seasons anyway. No offense to them, it's just most things don't.
Oh, no, it won't. 7 seasons, but they mean the lead up to it. They could skip a year or two, too, as well.
Oh, sure, but I doubt, the payoff is at 7 seasons in, they'll suddenly release the one they said was too outdated 7 years ago, you know what I mean, in 2026. And okay, well, now it retro's sleek again. It's obviously advanced, you know what I mean? I think they've gone, retcon, not even visual reboots, retcon now, unfortunately. /fortunately, where we'll see. But that doesn't tell us what they're talking, because the Enterprise won't be the story piece, because that's too risky. What do you think the story's going to be of season 2? And will it be full season arc, 2 half-season arcs, or episodic with something in underneath?
I think it'll probably be like a 2-story season arc. I think first and half season. And I hope so. That was the other thought I had about the Enterprise showing up. I have the distinct impression Lorca's going to be on board, the Prime Lorca. They found him unconscious or something in a wreck, because there was a priority 1 distress call, so something happened that the Enterprise sent out a distress call. So something happened. I would love to see Prime Lorca come on board, come back to the show, and I think if they're smart, they will do that at some point. And I think it's a little too soon to drop it now. But it would be cool to have Lorca show up in the first 1 or 2 episodes of next season.
That's really interesting, because I'm mostly against him. I think he's dead because that's how they sort of show, like, that's how they were explaining it. But dead is not dead until you see the body, and if you do see the body, unless it's blown up,
especially in sci-fi.
Yeah, and there's not a clone from the future or something. Dead is not necessarily dead. But the only way I could really buy him coming back is that he is so badly injured that whatever radical step he had to do to work out how to get back home almost destroyed him. And so they found him, like I said, in a ship that's crippled. He's one bit from death. But because it's the Enterprise that found him, the best ship in all of history, in terms of they could almost do no wrong at the end of the day, they were able to stabilize him, the legacies. And so they give the Discovery, you're right, Lorca, but in so injured condition. But that is going to be a thread that comes in, as they heal him throughout the season. But he's like catatonic coma, and only at a certain point, maybe when Georgiou comes in, who knows. That could be interesting, but I think he's a better character to hold off on and wait. And even if it's, Lorca from the past rather than Prime Lorca, I think there's better ways than just saying the guy that was, or even if he was, he'd be affected heavily by surviving that universe for a year. And and the Emperor not knowing where he was, thinking he was dead. I mean, he had to do a lot in a universe that he wasn't capable of dealing with really, properly.
Well, you're underselling Lorca there, because the new novel has.
But we don't know who Prime Lorca is, though.
We do. That's what I'm talking about.
The evil version, so he's
that's
going
what
to be
I'm talking
nicer,
about. The new novel that's talking about Lorca with Georgiou, talking about the kudos or the incident.
Yeah,
with younger Kirk anyway, and how even Cornwall said that he was a very measured man, Lorca, and I think somebody that is good enough to be a starship captain would definitely be able to adapt to the mirror universe and be able to blend in.
Yeah, I do think with one of the biggest X's on his body, I think again you have to be a super radical and deep explanation to bring him back.
That's the book I'm talking about, where they go to see deal with the governor of Kudos. Yeah. And that's brought up in this TOS episode as well.
It's 10 years before, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's one of those things that we know the Empress tried to blow up the Baran and no one survived, so he had to escape his mirror ship.
And that's the weird thing, because they said there was a transporter accident. Where was he transporting to as the Emperor was attacking his ship?
Well, the planet. I mean, they said that he was trying to get allies on the planet, and then the Emperor's ship appeared out of nowhere, tracked them down, and he was beaming back because he'd finished that and trying to get back to the ship, and that was the transporter thing. So he was getting supporters. It was really, she happened to catch him at the wrong time, or right time, if you, whichever way you think about it. But I think that's kind of a save it for season 3, Put your hands in the cookie jar of sci-fi. It makes sense. We really push it to bring him back. Or Mirror Lorca again can come back if he's mycelium transported, teleported, rather than dead, because that's a network of time and space and universes. So why not?
And that's a great point too, because we saw him falling towards the mycelial ball, and you heard the TIE fighter sound effect. So maybe he got transported to a galaxy far, far away for a few days, and then decided, I'm out of here, found a way back from there from a long time ago. I don't know. But yes, it could be very much... Lorca's coming back at some point in some form. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they can definitely have... They have definitely multiple avenues to approach.
And hey, we had Tasha Yar back for 4 cameos, so, I mean, everything in between can bring him back.
Yeah.
But what have they left? Well, they've left the thread. And I believe I read an interview. They said, one of the biggest threads they've left is the green spore becoming one with Tilly. And I know one of the writers said, we don't know where that's going yet. We haven't actually planned it, but it's a thread we wanted to put in because you have to do that. So I'm not sure what that's going to be. We know they had all the rewrites, so they're used to thinking on the fly. But do you think that might be the season arc? I mean, not obviously it leads up to it, but the bigger plot of the season is whatever's happening to Tilly. Something, is it mycelium based? I mean, you got a mycelium planet still. That's going to be surely really interesting. If the Klingons get it,
Well, I think that spore specifically is going to tie in with either Lorca, like you said, kind of becoming part of the mycelial network, or Hugh following Stamets back, and he's going to somehow, I don't know. I think, I think there's definitely some ideas that can be followed through with that, and I think that's what it's going to tie into. Somebody that we know is coming back, and it will be either Lorca, who got sucked into the mycelial network, or it could be Hugh that was following Stamets back. Such an emotional attachment to him. I think something like that is going to come about from that green spore.
So you don't think a big arc thing, more a character piece, because that you can't write a season around. Oh, Tilly gets taken over by Hugh sometimes. That's not a season story. It's a character. At that point, if Tilly doesn't know, is Stamets going to say, well, I've got Hugh back. Okay, I can only have him when she's sleeping. Girls that get creepy, but it's love. I mean, and he can see beyond the transdimensional realm. Why can't she be open enough to let him be with his ex-lover in her? What I mean? They could really go for some interesting, transgender issue. I mean, it's not really transgender, but you could deal with an issue where maybe she's becoming like Hugh in certain ways, and you could do interesting things with social. But you don't think that'll be like she won't become a Q or gain powers, or it won't be an arc thing. It'll just be her character beat for that season or one of them. So it's like a red herring for anything bigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I don't think it's going to be a story arc in and of itself. I mean, it could be. Okay. I just can't see of any way that they would go about doing that. I mean, if you have any ideas as far as that goes, I'm interested to hear. But I think it's more tied with somebody that we already know.
Yeah.
And it's going to tie in that way.
Yeah. The other alternative would be that, like I said, I mean, we've talked about this before, but the Spore Network choosing her. We've not seen any sign of sentience, but you can certainly stretch into something vague. The network's getting killed by Stamets's, and because the Spore Network knows the future, it gives Tilly what Stamets got artificially, gave it to her naturally, and then she's able to do things.
Maybe it's a tardigrade egg, and she gives birth to a tardigrade human hybrid that can handle the system.
That's not bad.
Right? I just thought of that on the fly as you were talking.
Because real tardigrades are really small, really, really small. So why couldn't the mycelium spore have it into it? And then that's not bad. I mean, we know originally one of the original ideas was to have the plan was to have the tardigrade as a crewman. So keep that concept over, and then that's really interesting.
And maybe it evolves and grows really quickly, so it soon becomes a member of the crew, or at least.
And then we think we've got the mycelium network back, but actually, it's got negative goals that are to do something bad or something. And obviously, once it's in
control, trying to close the network off from humans because it's causing too much damage. So its job is to negate that access to the network.
That'd be really interesting. Yeah, and it's kind of like the child from TNG, Deanna getting pregnant. But hey, precedents of little glowy balls impregnating women. I mean, it's canon.
I mean, it's open up to so many possibilities, so it's hard to speculate, but I mean.
But let's jump off that, 'cause this is our first reaction, but we're going to do more. Klingons, how much Klingon?
Oh, Klingons. I think there's going to be a good 40% Klingon story. I think they're gonna keep Tyler and L'Rell around, and I think we're going to see some internal Klingon problem solving, hopefully. We've kind of talked about this with our L'Rell and Tyler video. It would be nice to see some tie-ups as far as that goes, maybe explaining why they look so different. I mean, we talked about that as well. And there's ways they could go about doing that, which would make a lot of sense. And it'd be nice to kind of see that, because I don't want the Klingons to kind of just drop off completely. In a way I do, because they're not the Klingons I know and love. But I want to see the D7s evolve into what they're supposed to look like and things like that, and learn about, the unification of the Klingon people and the KDF and all that. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be really cool, actually.
Well, that's the exciting bit. I mean, if as they said originally, we're going into TOS, that's the promise, is we'll get there eventually, because, I mean, they said early on, canon's canon, you can massage it, but you can't break it.
Yeah.
They're very, very clear, So, in Enterprise, we saw them as more basic, still very much Klingons we know, but more basic, less evolved in terms of their social structure and how they, I guess, acted slightly more barbarian-esque. Then they got more violent, radical, and a few practices that we would deem less good in that 100-year of isolation, because we didn't, well, with us anyway. So it'd be interesting, certainly, if they use Discovery as the catalyst to, season 1 was showing the Klingons at their worst, both as a version of them, but also as them with the least morals and all that stuff. But L'Rell and Vok, they are the Vok Tyler, because I think it's not Tyler, it's not Vok, it's Vok Tyler or Tyler Vok. It's an entity of itself. It'd be really fun to just not even be even the B plot, like Targaryen, Daenerys in Game of Thrones. The C plot is every episode we see 5 minutes, then back on Kronos doing something to unify and see the growth, and we see other Klingons, and we see how this culture heals, and beyond heals, unifies, as you said. I mean, Spock tried for decades, but we know they've got 10 years until they get to a certain point, or at least those good Klingons get to a certain point. So that'd be really interesting, but I don't want to see them as villains, because they shouldn't be villains, and in 12 Houses there's a lot of variety there, but yeah, we should... I think they've also got the opportunity with Tyler Vok choosing primarily the Tyler side. Having him speak English would alleviate the huge problem they were giving themselves with slow dialogue, poorish acting, all those language barriers that we couldn't appreciate the performances. If you actually had... Because now you've got the English participant in the scenes. Him, Tyler, maybe someone else, whatever. You can have all these great scenes on the Klingon homeworld in English, and then, something else in Klingon, but, as in modern Star Trek 3, that combination of languages, that would be a lot stronger, I think, and let you have these really powerful scenes. Because L'Rell's pretty good in English. They've now put that in, so I think you should utilise that. Speaking Klingon was a great idea, but had to be metered. Because it did detract, unfortunately, from performances.
It did, yeah, absolutely. And we got to keep in mind, too, that a third of the Federation fleet has been decimated, so that's got to be rebuilt. That's going to be another story element, I'm sure. Reestablishing the Federation hold on a lot of these colonies, reestablishing their borders. There's going to be that interplay with the Klingons as well, which will be interesting to see how that plays out.
Like bumping heads.
Yeah, like that's because they gotta reclaim that almost original border that we saw, because it was pretty accurate in those early takes of the border. So, and getting that fleet rebuilt, getting new, old TOS ships rebuilt to reestablish that fleet, I think is going to be very interesting to see. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
And I know I was a proponent of Shinjo not existing in the mirror universe and all that stuff, but if you're building new ships, well, in this war, 9 months plus, which will be skipped, plus the previous year, the designers are going to be designing new ships to fight a war they're losing. They're losing at every step of the way, pretty much. Ships are not capable of defeating these Klingon ships, both from the cloak, but also pure offense. They beat them. So they've been designing new ships, and the Defiant was designed and built very quickly, relatively speaking. So I don't think they'd go back and build more of, Barans, when they could build the new, Saladins. You know what I mean? I feel like they would be like, well, we should not be building ships that the Klingons can defeat. Let's take that month break to make sure these designs are finalised and start building these new next gen. I use next gen quite often, but this next fleet, because if we don't build something that leapfrogs them, if they do come back at us, we're even less capable because they're building more of better and more of better. So you obviously alluded to give us be the jumping point to refine back the Discovery designs, and bring in that more TOS aesthetic, but not just so much the classical coral, but the circular basards and the uniform color palette, which is recognizable. Those simple things, like mostly basards, honestly, and the proportions a little bit. Those things will go a long way to helping bridge those gaps even further, and actually give us a really nice new element of, oh look, it's the new this ship. Oh, I've heard about that. Oh, look at that. They can do a lot with that. And without Brian Fuller, who at the very start told the production team, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. That's gone. Yeah. So season 2, they can be more canon-y, even if it's not directly, but linking to design styles, I should say.
Yeah. I'm kind of sad that the idea of an anthology went out the window, because I would love to see a jump in a few years, kind of mid-season or something. I don't know. They could still do that, of course, but I would love to see either a different time period or just
And I didn't enjoy the Battlestar Galactica time jump because it really darkened the show too much for me personally. But the way they wrapped up this show, they could easily have done, Burnham's speech, blah, blah, blah. And then, 2 years later,
Yes.
on Discovery, whoever's what, uniforms are now another in-between step. And it's a time jump, but because, or 5 years, say, and Burnham's either captain, whatever, some variation. And you've now got all these new things. Now we're in Cold War, we've got a threat we didn't see because it was clandestine. We linked to this badge of Section 31. We linked to this, Spore Driver's buried, but now has to come back. But we know it killed Stamets maybe, or killed 10 other people. We could really, revitalize the universe, and give us the anthology. That would have been really like, season 2 starts early. In Doctor Who, they show that little moment, those little moments of the next Doctor, that would, which is the equivalent of the next era begins.
Yeah.
That would have been really, really cool, I think.
Yeah. Well, they still have that potential. I mean, they could do 2 years, 2 seasons that are in this first year, and then jump ahead and it's for season 3. I mean, that would be a fantastic way to do it, and I hope they do kind of embrace that a little bit.
It's just production budgets, really. It's just can use the same uniforms and can use the same, keeping everything consistent means we've already got everything we need to make the show. It's just about building new stuff to make the new show, rather than as in episodically, rather than all new sets and stuff.
Well, speaking of uniforms, actually, it's interesting because we pointed out that the ones in the background look very similar to the Cage style sweaters. But I was been since reading online that apparently they had a different idea for the costumes. Once Brian Fuller left, they changed it up and put those, they were already made, they put them as, on the background people as, kind of like the next evolution of costume, I guess, or just background pieces. But wouldn't that be interesting if they've actually already got a lot of those uniforms made and ready for, I mean, they wouldn't be using a lot of the production values towards that if they've already got them established.
So saying Brian did the Cage-ish uniforms, or after he left they did?
No, they already had Brian had the Cage-like uniforms, because Brian Fuller is very big into Star Trek, and I think he was going to handle it a little bit closer to canon, from what I've understood.
Except
anyway.
the Klingons no hair and stuff.
Well, yeah.
So they redesigned the uniforms?
Yes, apparently after he left, they got redesigned into the new style that we see on screen now. Which is quite a departure from any Starfleet uniform we've seen, and
it's a JJ/NX combo.
Yeah. So I don't know how much truth there is in that, but it'd be interesting. And if they do jump ahead, like I said, they got a lot of that already built, already made. So,
but since they didn't want to use it originally, then might not. Background piece out of focus is not. It's like I didn't realize. It's because they had them lying around for extras. I didn't realise that in the signing of the Dominion War Treaty, everyone's a nemesis. Before that was Voyager era uniforms. But there are extras in TNG uniform in the background. There's about 2 of them because they just needed uniforms. I'm not sure why, but it's like it wasn't because they had them or needed them. I don't know why exactly, but which is really weird that they still use those uniforms back. It takes a while to update. I know, but still, it's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we should break down some of the story threads. That'd be kind of fun to go into this season and say what has been yet to be answered. And see if we can individually call out. Because I don't think Stamets has got over Hugh. That seems way too soon. So that is a thread. Obviously Mudd, that's a thread.
The Pavonians from Pavo, which are very much like the Orions. Kind of, they wanted peace between the Klingons and the Federation. We could revisit them to see how can we establish, a peace, a lasting peace, because they were just dropped in the second part of that episode, or that 2-parter. So I don't know. There's so many story threads that they kind of dropped. Are we going to see that again?
They weren't important to get to the final bit, but they shouldn't have necessarily written them in to
Black badges.
Well, that was the thing. They had to put little subtle things throughout. Even if they knew it wasn't going to be a thing, just to keep up the motif of... It wouldn't have been cool if in corridors occasionally you saw walk by a slightly different uniform. Like, is that one of them? They don't know. They haven't written it, but they're there. Cool. Yeah, but I think we're excited as ever. I mean, we were excited before this show came out. Obviously, somewhat disappointed on the canon side, and certainly somewhat on the story side. But to be on this adventure of watching every week, and when we watched Enterprise, we didn't have Trekyards. I don't know who we talked to about this, but being talked to this with you has been a really great experience, and analyse and think it through, which has been a treat, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. It's great to have Star Trek back on TV.
Well, online.
Well,
for you it's TV. For everyone else, it isn't.
It's good to have new Trek, and I know it's going to divide people regardless. No matter what they do, if they stick true to the 60s style or if they move it ahead, not everybody's going to be happy. And they're at that point in Trek history where you can't make everyone happy, unfortunately. So... But it is exciting to see the way that they're handling things and be able to talk about it and, theorize and kind of come up with new ideas.
And we've got to hope that the Khan series teased wasn't a red herring to get better press or wasn't cancelled, because that hasn't been heard of for, 8 months. And we've got to hope that eventually they do a prime timeline style post-Nemesis and, do something that the fans really, really want, rather than being given something they are being told they should enjoy.
Well, yes. There's an old saying among producers, people don't know what they want until they see it. I don't know how true that is, but there you have it. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts for Season 3 and the storylines that could come? Season 2. Oh, I'm jumping ahead.
You got tardigrade DNA, Stuart, the green bulb, hit you as well, and now you're Season 3. Romulans! They've taken over the show!
No, better not be any Romulans. But anyway, what do you guys think? Let us know down below. As always, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us on Facebook. The Facebook group has some great stuff to talk about all the time. So we welcome you. Come join us.
And of course, be like our amazing fan base that supports us on Patreon, because we want to do some great Trek content, and we have been doing a lot of great Trek content, even just everyday discussion videos. You have hundreds of videos at this point, and if you want to support us to make more and build this channel, because that is what we want to do, then support us on Patreon.com/Trekyards. Give a little bit each and every month, or a one-time donation at trekyards.com. Again, that's like a thank you, a tip, whatever, think of it as you will. All goes in supporting this show and what we do, which gets more of the show and more of what we do. So.
That's right. And you guys enjoy it, hopefully. So until next time, when there's more of us, more of you and I, not more of us. There won't be more hosts, because that'd be kind of silly. But anyway, until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Commander Coggins.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.